Malik Nabers missed practice again. He's been out August 6th with the toe injury. All eyes have been on the quarterback battle, and no Malik at this point just feels like that has to impact the entire process of quarterback evaluation, development, what they're going to put on the field, Jory. Like this is substantial simply because of what the Giants are up against this year.
Absolutely. And I think also when you look at this, and we talked yesterday on the show about Brian Daboll, Joe Schoen, the win now mandate in 2025, and how the quarterbacks factor into this. To me, if you're Russell Wilson and you're trying to stave off Jaxson Dart from getting that starting position after he had a strong preseason game, you have to ask yourself, well, if you don't have Malik Nabers at receiver, do you feel as confident about your ability to be the best guy? Also, Malik Nabers was that guy who you felt, well, if Russell Wilson's strength is his moonball, Malik Nabers is the one who's going to catch it. And now you might not have that. So I think you do have real questions about what this means for the quarterback competition. Also, if Malik Nabers is arguably the most talented player on that offense, I know they've got some great defensive linemen, so I'm not going to go against that. And they're not winning as many games, let's say, because he's out. Well, what does that mean for the future of the Giants coach and general manager?
Yeah, it's, gosh, for me, look, this defensive line is so good. I know this defensive line has a chance of being one of the best in the league. And my God, I feel like the Giants are poised to try and win games 6-3. It's just maybe that's the only way. But all of this Jaxson Dart conversation, every time he plays well in the preseason, it's just going to create more when does Jaxson Dart get to play sort of moments. And you're right, if this offense is stagnant at all, the first thing people are going to start doing is calling for a change at quarterback because there are so many quarterbacks in that room and there's a first round pick in that room they're trying to develop. So if you're a Giants fan, your hope is that, hey, you want Russ to play so well that Jaxson doesn't have to play. You're winning games and Jackson's developing, or you want Jaxson to win the job so clearly that he comes in and dominates. I don't know how either of those things can happen without Malik Nabers. It is such a wild difference. Just look at how lost the Bengals offense has looked when they don't have somebody like Jamar Chase or T. Higgins. And then ask yourself, all right, for a lesser offense, what's it look like without Malik? It's the opportunity here for the Giants, in part, what's going to keep Daboll's job, in my mind, if he's going to keep his job, isn't just winning games. It's showing tremendous development of Jaxson Dart at the quarterback position. I genuinely don't know how you show tremendous growth of Jaxson Dart at the quarterback position if you don't have Malik Nabers.
Yeah, I definitely think it's the case, and I think that the Giants are a team that might have some pieces, but I wouldn't describe them as one of the deeper teams in the league. And so if you're not one of the deeper teams in the league and you all of a sudden lose one of your best talents, it shows.
At some point, too, it's weird because the expectations for the Giants, I think externally, you can speak more to internally, but externally, the expectations for the Giants is that they're going to stink, right? So it's pretty easy to look at it and say, okay, who cares? Malik Nabers is going to be out. Fantasy cares, gambling cares. I get those things. But like in the grand scheme of things, they weren't going to win a lot of games anyway. But I think that's where we have to, again, look at the truncated timeline that has been given to the Giants organization and the expectations that are there this year, as you mentioned and you guys talked about yesterday. Like the Giants organizationally hasn't given us any indication that they're willing to go out and watch Daboll and Schoen win 5 games this year and still keep everybody. Like there's been no sort of sense that that's the reality. So if you're working on a timeline that doesn't even seem to match what the talent can do in the first place, and you're missing one of the most dynamic players in the league that you need to help develop your offense to give you a shot and not put all the pressure on your defense, it's just, these are the cluster you-know-whats that were created by the Giants organization, in my mind, because they kept people that were on a limited timeline. Like, this is why I get so frustrated when organizations essentially say, hey, we're going to hold on for one more year to see where things go, because that so rarely actually works out. All you end up doing is putting a massive amount of pressure on a team to do something right now that it's not really built to do and not capable of doing. And all you're doing is delaying the inevitable of the change that's going to happen in an offseason when all the Giants really did. Like, if you were playing the video game of the Giants, you aren't going to win a ton of football games. The roster's just not as good as it needs to be to compete in this NFC, as much as I love that defensive line. So it's weird that Malik Nabers being injured feels like it has such far-reaching ramifications when it's a team that's not going to be particularly good anyway.
Well, Fitz, I think it's even worse than that, because I think that this is not only a team that has not given an indication that they have an appetite for 5 winning season. This is a team where John Mara, their team owner, said you have a win now mandate in 2025. And if I'm giving someone a win now mandate in 2025, I'm saying don't draft a quarterback, because I don't want to have this continuous cycle. See Chicago Bears, where a coach drafts a quarterback, coach gets fired, and now coach inherits quarterback. Oh, you actually don't even have to look farther than the Giants. You could just look at Brian Daboll inheriting Daniel Jones. And I think there are reasons that the Giants reporters are saying, well, Jaxson Dart's a better fit for Brian Daboll, both in terms of his skill set and also in terms of his demeanor. They're both a little more fiery. That works well. They're off to a good start. But if it doesn't work, you're just continuing this cycle of someone else drafting your guy. And oh, by the way, are you even going to be running a scheme that best fits Jaxson Dart next year?
And that's why this is, I guess it's maddening for me, because we always talk about how the NFL is a copycat league. I don't need the NFL to necessarily be a copycat league. I just need smart organizations to look around and just see the obvious of what doesn't work for other organizations. Just look around and say, oh, you know what? That Bears thing with Caleb didn't really work particularly well. Let's not do that next year. Like, I think there's a common sense element of this. And again, it comes back to almost like a theme. Pride gets in the way of so much of this story. It just feels like organizations have pride that, hey, what happened to the Bears won't happen to us, instead of looking at it reasonably and saying, hey, what we need to do is make sure that we don't put ourselves in the same situation that the Chicago Bears put themselves in, which, by the way, is exactly what the Giants have done.